At the start of the episode, Kirishima walks Yaeka to school while two guys watch them from a van. They recognize that it's Kirishima and make fun of him for being a babysitter. Later, Kirishima attends a celebration party for a Yakuza member who has just been out of prison. There too, he gets taunted by Yakuza members of other groups, calling him the babysitter of the head of the Sakuragi group. They tell him that he is no longer Sakuragi's devil. To make matters worse, Kirishima is greeted by Yanagi, a lieutenant from the Kasugami Yakuza group, and he too makes fun of Kirishima's new job. But Kirishima seems unbothered and excitedly picks up a call from his young miss, Yaeka. Yanagi is surprised how much Kirishima has changed since he took the job of babysitting. After hanging up, Kirishima threatens Yanagi and tells him that he is not a babysitter, but it's actually his Yakuza job. He then grabs Yanagi's shoulder and tells him to respect him before walking away. The following day, Kirishima has no babysitting duties to attend to, so Sugihara takes it upon himself to become Yaeka's second babysitter. Sugihara does his best to entertain Yaeka and grow closer to her, only to realize that he and Yaeka have almost nothing in common, and Yaeka seems too shy to open up to Kai anyway. So Sugihara offers to watch a movie with Yaeka, letting her choose a kid-friendly animated feature from his DVD collection. It's a rabbit-themed anime that they both enjoy, and Sugihara thinks things are going well until the conversation turns toward the topics of Kirishima himself. Realizing that Yaeka likes to talk about Kirishima, Sugihara says that Kirishima likes chocolate, but Yaeka already knows about this. Their conversation is interrupted by Konami, who offers Yaeka to go shopping. Meanwhile, Kirishima walks down the street and wonders how to spend his day off. He is suddenly greeted by his annoying friend Rei Hoju. The two friends then go to a cafe and sit down to talk after running into each other for so long. Kirishima comments if Hoju is still pestering men, while Hoju notes that he has changed a lot since the last they met. At the same time, Yanagi and one of his friends sit in another corner of the cafe. He starts trouble with the cafe owner, so seeing this, Kirishima forces them to leave. Hoju is surprised Kirishima restrained his temper. Before parting their ways, Hoju offers Kirishima to get a drink, but Kirishima tells him that he has very important work to attend to and walks away. Later, Kirishima takes out a piece of paper that Yaeka had given him, telling him to return before evening. In the next scene, Yaeka wants to bake a chocolate cake, so she and Konami buy lots of chocolate from a grocery store. They bump into Ayumu, the girl who found Yaeka's cat Ohagi and invited her over to bake cakes. Once at home, Konami informs Kazuhiko that they are baking a cake, so she suggests they go outside for dinner. Kazuhiko then asks Kirishima to call and book a table at one of their restaurants, but over the phone, Kirishima hears Yanagi at the restaurant again. Meanwhile, Yanagi has beaten up the serving staff at the restaurant and announced that the Kasugami family had taken over the restaurant from the Sakuragi family. He brags that Kirishima is no longer the devil he used to be, and he might be busy tucking his boss's daughter into bed. But Kirishima soon arrives and easily beats up Yanagi. On his way home, Kirishima meets Yuri Mashiro, lieutenant of the Momoyama Yakuza, but he ignores him and returns home to find Yaeka waiting for him at the door. Yaeka gives him the chocolate cake she baked for him. In the next scene, Yaeka and Kirishima sit on their front porch while Kirishima enjoys the delicious cake. He compliments the cake, and Yaeka seems to be happy about it. Yaeka also gives him an ice cream lid since Sugihara told her that Kirishima likes licking the ice cream off of the lid. Meanwhile, Sugihara buries Yanagi and his friends up to their necks as punishment. After a while, Mashiro approaches the buried Yanagi and his friend, and is surprised Kirishima left them alive. It is implied Mashiro murders both men. In the next scene, Kirishima attends a PTA meeting at Yaeka's school and learns from one of the parents that Yaeka's birthday is coming up. While returning home with Yaeka, Kirishima brings up the topic but is disappointed when Yaeka avoids discussing her birthday. Yaeka wants to eat some donuts, but they bump into Hoju once again before they buy the treats. The three sit inside a cafe to eat donuts. Hoju tells Yaeka that he and Kirishima used to be best friends during their school days. He also adds that Kirishima used to be sharp and cold, but he now seems to change a lot, thanks to the young Mrs. Charm. Before parting their ways, Hoju tells Kirishima that Masaya Hanami, Kirishima's fierce rival from middle school, has finally been released from prison. Later at home, Kirishima learns that since Yaeka's mother was bedridden at the hospital, her birthdays have only been with her father and Konami, and because her family is a Yakuza, she could never invite friends. Unsure of what gift to get for his young miss, Kirishima decides to cook homemade food food for Yaeka. So, while he assigns Sugihara and his friends to take Yaeka to a park, Kirishima helps Konami cook for the birthday party. At the park with Sugihara, Yaeka meets a young foreign girl named Sarah, and they soon become friends. Meanwhile, Kirishima cuts his finger while trying to chop vegetables. Returning home, Yaeka finds Kirishima waiting at the door for her. While they greet each other, Yaeka discovers Sarah and her father Leon moved in next door and are now neighbors. Sarah immediately hugs Yaeka and is happy they will get more playtime together. At the same time, Kazuhiko comes to the door and greets Leon. Yaeka wants to invite her new friend in to her birthday and fearfully requests her father. Surprisingly, Kazuhiko agrees to invite her in. Later, Leon and Sarah arrive for the birthday party. To hide they are Yakuza, Kirishima poses as Kazuhiko's butler. Meanwhile, Leon is very outgoing and insists he and Kazuhiko take a selfie together. Seeing this, Konami and Kirishima laugh off as Kazuhiko is forced to keep up the charade of normalcy. Yaeka gives daifuku, a Japanese cake, and sweets to Sarah, and she loves it. In the meantime, Leon notices the cherry blossom tree in Kazuhiko's front yard and reminisces about when he came to Japan for the first time with his wife. While on the other side of the house, Yaeka and Sarah compete with Sugihara and his friends to catch ohagi. The little girls win, while Kirishima ends up making fun of Sugihara. Later, Yaeka and Sarah decide that they will become best friends. Seeing this, Kazuhiko comments that he made the right decision to invite Sarah and Leon to the birthday party. After the party, Kirishima gives his birthday gift to Yaeka. He reveals he made rice, an omelet with fried rice for Yaeka, as it was his favorite birthday meal. Konami adds that Kirishima practiced multiple times to get the dish right. Hearing this, Yaeka gets emotional and extends her gratitude to her favorite babysitter. Elsewhere, Masaya decides to take care of Kirishima to celebrate leaving prison, vaguely implying that he wants to find and kill him. The head of the Kakahara Yakuza tells him that Kirishima doesn't have time to deal with him since he's busy babysitting a cute little girl. He adds that Kirishima has changed while Masaya was behind bars. To vent his frustration, Masaya beats up some guys in an alley, but his thirst for hurting Kirishima still doesn't go away. He remarks that he has been waiting all this time to kill Kirishima, so he doesn't want to give up on his mission. A flashback to 13 years ago reveals that Masaya had been challenged to test Kirishima as he was rumored to be the guy who killed anyone that crossed his path. Masaya realized the rumor was true when Kirishima defeated him in just one blow. So since then, destroying Kirishima has become his ultimate target. It is also revealed that the only reason Masaya joined a Yakuza family was that Kirishima did, but he went to prison before fulfilling his mission. While walking down the streets, Masaya refuses to believe the former Sakuragi's demon has now become a babysitter. Just then, Kirishima and Yaeka bump into him. To his surprise, Masaya has now confirmed that Kirishima has really changed his job to a babysitter, and he is seemingly disappointed. But Kirishima doesn't seem to remember Masaya. Just then, Hoju also arrives at the scene and greets Kirishima and his young miss. When he sees Masaya, he excitedly hugs him. Kirishima finally remembers Masaya when Hoju reminds him of the time he beat Masaya and left a scar on his face 13 years ago. But Kirishima soon gets irritated with Masaya and his nuance. He reveals just a little of his suppressed demon before Yaeka calms him down. Masaya is then collected by his boss, who doesn't want conflict with the Sakuragi. Meanwhile, Mashiro hides in the car and watches all of them. Next, Sugihara attends a business meeting with a developer named Gauno, who tries to take advantage of him to pay the Sakuragi less money. However, Sugihara reveals that he is a tough Yakuza, exposing Gauno's criminal activities in Sakuragi territory. He then cancels their deal before punishing Gauno violently. While returning, Sugihara remembers being a shoplifter, stealing antiques from an old lady's shop. But one day, Kirishima caught him stealing from a Yakuza-protected shop and took him to his place. There, Sugihara made tea for him. Surprisingly, it tasted good. So Kirishima decided to hire Sugihara for his impressive tea-making skills, and since then, they've been living together. In the following scene, Mashiro visits Gauno, revealing he arranged for Gauno to antagonize Sugihara, and tells him that Sugihara used to be the head of a burglary group before joining the Sakuragi. It turns out that Mashiro used Gauno to know more about Kirishima and his henchman Sugihara. Since Mashiro's boss will kill him for what he is doing, it is implied that he murders Gauno by throwing him off the building. Meanwhile, Sugihara returns home, where he is pleased when Kirishima requests a cup of tea. The following day, Leon informs Kirishima and Sugihara that Sarah is going to the same school as Yaeka. While they are happy about it, the reality isn't as it seems. At school, Sarah's lively personality and cuteness get the attention of many of her classmates, leaving Yaeka alone once again. Next, a former Yakuza of the Sakuragi group and now a father, Toichiro Aoi, visits with his son Kauki. Kirishima, Kanami, and Yaeka greet them at the door before Kauki insists Yaeka play with him. Kirishima accompanies Toichiro to his former boss's room, where he apologizes for taking so long to visit. Kazuhiko understands that because Toichiro is now a father, he doesn't have enough time. Meanwhile, Kirishima serves tea for the two, greets them, and leaves the scene. Toichiro comments Kirishima has changed a lot, and the anime flashes back to 8 years ago. Toichiro shares with pregnant Miyuki how Kirishima always goes on a killing rampage and has disappeared for 3 days. A while later, Miyuki and Kazuhiko wonder who their baby will take after the most, but they suddenly hear Kanami screaming from the kitchen. When they go to check, it's Kirishima, who has just returned from his rampage, looking like a lost cat. Toichiro yells at him for returning home late, and the two playfully leave the scene. Seeing them, Miyuki smiles and says it's good to have them around, and after she gives birth to Yaeka, their family will continue to grow. At present, Kirishima asks Toichiro about his wife, Sanae, and if she is doing well. Toichiro laments that he has always wanted a family of his own and to have children with the person he loved. A flashback again shows a pregnant Sanae at the hospital, and Toichiro thanks her for being with him. Even though he spends most of his time with Kazuhiko and his family, Sanae understands it's his duty and knows that both Yakuza and her family are important to him. But one day, Toichiro fights with other Yakuzas. He runs to the hospital to meet his wife, who has been waiting for him the whole day. Sanae sees the blood on his chest and starts breathing heavily. From that day on, Sanae fell ill and started to hyperventilate when under stress. Following the incident, Kazuhiko recommends that Toichiro leave the Sakuragi group to protect his family. At present, Toichiro thanks his boss for encouraging him to look after his family. He even shares that he is now blessed with another child. After greeting farewell to Kazuhiko, Toichiro sits with Kirishima to reminisce about their olden days, while Yaeka and Kauki enjoy themselves, drawing a picture of Ohagi. Afterward, they eat some cakes together, reminding Toichiro of the time his wife was pregnant with Kauki at the hospital and sharing sweets with her. By evening, Toichiro and Kauki wave goodbye to Kirishima and Yaeka, while Kirishima is thankful that Yaeka had made a new friend, Kauki. The following day at school, Yaeka notices her classmate Kaida mistakenly breaking her blue crayon and offers one to her. Seeing her kindness, Kaida tells her that she always wanted to draw with Yaeka but was always shy to talk to her. Yaeka feels the same way, and they soon decide to become friends. Yaeka's friend circle grows bigger when Sarah's friends start noticing her drawings and joining her. Even while returning home from school, she has friends to accompany her. Kirishima notices Yaeka and her friends and sighs with relief.